Boom, baby, we are live. Welcome back. It's been a while, but we're here
Yeah.
on episode 124 of the Tokyo Crypto Show. We're going to be talking about how comparing the Bitcoin bear markets, it is no secret that we are absolutely in a bear market right now. It's no good times, but if you're part of the crypto mindset and you're part of the Moon Gang and you're part of the Hot Dude Army who pays attention to this, you may or may have not made a little bit of money with a coin called, should I tell them, Charlie, or should I keep that for the VIP people?
I mean, we've talked about it a little bit on stream, so it's fine to say it.
The
I mean,
window's already closed, anyways, right? They missed their chance.
yeah, the main
But,
the main window. Yep.
yeah, looking at Hedron, nice little opportunity that popped up over these last 2 weeks. You don't have to be full of gloom and doom now that we're in a bear market, but we told you that those glorious days of making easy money will be coming to an end, and here we are. But it is what it is. If you're really dialed into crypto and you're paying attention and you're watching a show like this right now, when it's not cool, it's not sexy, it's not extremely profitable to pay attention to mainstream easy coins in crypto, well, it's going to be a little different for you because we are going to keep on keeping on. And yeah, nice little
Yeah.
2x 3x, hey, beats working at Walmart.
It does. And no, I was happy to see stuff shifting here during a bear market, right? Because you do have to kind of take those types of moves on coins, right, with a little bit of interest, because what it slightly reminds me of is back in January of 2019, basically.
Right.
There was a little a little coin called Chainlink that you may have heard of, that did quite well, during the last major run up. And what Chainlink did, which is really interesting, right, is it came out at the same time as a lot of coins at the Q4 of 2017 during the extreme hype phase. And the price of the token really didn't do anything. And the main reason for that is because they weren't out there doing a lot of marketing and stuff. They were just basically like, hey, we put our project out there, we're building it. It was very quiet, right? So it was one of the few altcoins that basically had like a flat line chart in the early days of 2019, right? Where we had the lows of Bitcoin at 3,100 in 2018 at the end. And then, we started to see some percolation with basically Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin started moving. Litecoin usually starts to move a little bit after, or basically a little bit before, a little bit after Bitcoin finds its bottom often. And so, and that's one of the reasons behind that is because Litecoin's halving does come up earlier than Bitcoin's. And so that's one little canary in the coal mine to look for. But then also sometimes altcoins, basically, the good ones, right? They move a little bit earlier than the market if the founder has a plan, right? And if the founder has a plan, then that's a great thing, right? And so Sergey Nazarov did really good. I'm not comparing Alex from Hedron to Sergey Nazarov necessarily, but you never know, right? And so the thing that's interesting to me about this is like, there's a coin that did, like, if you look at its absolute bottom to its absolute top, it's like a 30x, right? So it did a 30x, right, in a bear market, and it found its bottom. It's not going back to that price that it hit on its low, and it hit at the same time as Bitcoin did on June 18th. So that to me is just a nice little sign that, yes, even though, we are in the depths of a bear market, and that could be scary for a lot of people, especially the first time in crypto, right? But at the same time, it's a little ray of hope, a little ray of sunshine there. And also it's definitely nice for the wallet. So
Always nice for the wallet. Again, I was meeting up with someone today and they asked me, can I really learn crypto?
Yeah.
And I just said to him, of course you can learn crypto. Anybody can learn it. Like if you just make the choice to sit down, study, do the work, come up every day, make it happen. I mean, there's
all about dedication.
Yeah, this is not Wall Street. There's no gatekeeper yet. You know what I mean? We're still at a point where regulations are still loose enough that pretty much anybody can get their piece of the pie. And as long as you if you want to do deep dives, get in the telegrams, get in the discords, look these people up on LinkedIn, do your detective work, find out who's who. If a coin is led by a guy who used to be a restaurant manager, probably not a good coin to be in. But if the guy used to work at NASA or Google or something, tech related, you may want to keep your eye on that project. And we have a lot of things that are going to be happening. Personally, I'm not trying to be Mr. Doom and Gloom, but I'm just looking at things from standpoint. Looks like this whole sanctioning of the sanctions against Russia are backfiring against a lot of people in Europe. And the energy crisis, the Dutch farmers are still fighting away. There is a lot of global turmoil, and quite frankly, it just seems to be that the elite are trying to stifle out the middle class even more. As always, it's always a battle.
One little addition to that, one of the books I recently downloaded was written by Mr. Klaus Schwab. I do think it is actually important for people to listen to that, even if they extremely disagree with it. The reason is you need to understand what the intention is, right? Because there's an intention there. There's an agenda for sure.
Yeah. Oh, no, for sure. You should definitely read his stuff. I mean, because you understand exactly what their evil asses are up to.
He did 2 books on the Great Reset. There's one, and then there's an expanded version, basically, if anybody wants to listen to the audio version and see what kind of ridiculousness they're spouting.
Yeah. And so the thing is, with Germany now having skyrocketing energy prices, with the Italians burning their bills in the street, I even think the French are always pissed off about something.
Yeah, they're in the middle of it all, right? They get pushed around by everybody. So
well, I mean, that's what France is, right? That's the bitch of Europe. No offense to the French people watching. But it just seems that we're in for a little bit more of trouble. It's just the bull market is far from coming back around. Even today in Japan, did you see, Charlie? What they're doing is, in order to fight inflation in Japan, they're going to send out $500 to low-income homes to fight inflation.
Yeah, so that's gonna work for about 5 minutes.
Let's beat inflation by printing more money. I got it. I mean, is there a logical way that can happen, Charlie? Can you print your way out of inflation?
No, you're just going to make it worse. And that's what we've been doing, basically since 1971 in terms of at a ridiculous level. And we've been doing that since the beginning of the US dollar in the terms of from the central bank, when the central bank was created, basically. What do you call it? Since I think like 1913 was when the U.S. central bank was created, I believe. And so, the U.S. dollar is designed like that to some extent, right? But where it gets really hairy is when you look at historical situations like a Zimbabwe or like a Weimar Republic in Germany, basically in the early 1900s. You should research those because there's potential, right? Especially within Europe, not as bad for America, but within Europe, right, there's potential for, I mean, we're already seeing it, right? We're already seeing the euro being devalued extremely compared to the dollar. And I think it's the first time in 24 years that the Japanese yen has been this low versus the dollar. So yeah, things are getting, interesting for sure. The one thing I would say is, the market can't go down forever, right?
Correct.
That's, knock on wood. But
everybody just swears that this is the end of the world and the Illuminati's coming to kill us all. And it's just like, dude, like chill out. Like these markets have been going up and down since the dawn of civilization. Like you guys have to realize, if you want to be successful, success is all about consistency. Are you consistently watching this show? Are you consistently studying the markets? Are you consistently seeing? Because, it's like what Mike Tyson said with the spotlight. The spotlight never turns off. It just moves from person to person. Okay. And that's the same thing here. I mean, Made Safe coin was a top 10 coin in like 2015, right? I guarantee almost nobody in the audience knows what Made Safe coin is. Dogecoin was laughed at in the 2017 bull market, and Dogecoin was skyrocketed to the top 10, you know, in this recent bull market. So you have to understand this is the way of life. Everything goes up, everything goes down, and we're just experiencing a downturn. Like I said, we told you guys that hey, it was going to happen. We said good times are not going to last, and it's all about staying consistent, keeping a cool and even keel. When you're up, keep an even keel. When you're down, keep an even keel. But keep on keeping on. That's the biggest thing, right?
Yeah. Joe Dirt's a wise man. But yeah, so I think there's a lot of opportunity right around the corner here in crypto, like a lot more opportunity than people realize.
Yeah.
There's Pulse Chain coming around the corner, which is one of the is the reason why Hedron had its move, and then there's other projects as well gearing up, basically to launch, not too far off in the distant future. So, with that being said, that's interesting to me. And so the way that I'm looking at like the next 365 days, right, is protect your assets, right? Protect what you have, and then continue to be persistent and work hard, basically to continue to get more, right? And then when we get these extremes in the market, like we're having right now, right, understand what your strategy is to dollar cost average, and then you can take advantage of these dips, right? Because like in 2008, 2009, when we had that financial crisis, the people who still had some cash and some assets to put into the market, they won, right? They bought up all the real estate super cheap that they wanted. And it's the same here with crypto stocks, real estate over the next 1 year, and stuff like that. So these are the opportunities where the human psychology says, I don't want to pay attention. I want to pout off and go somewhere else where I can forget about all this, money stuff, because man, it's hurting, right? But at the same time, if you do that, right, you're going to always be buying tops. You're always going to be, buying the run up, the all-time highs. So you really have to retrain your brain and retrain the way you look at markets. And so I'm really glad all the time whenever I see people in the chat of the Moon Gang always saying, hey, there's blood in the streets. Time to buy, baby. And they get really hyped on that, which is the correct mindset. It is the correct psychology, but it is very hard to do because the emotions still do come no matter how, even killed you are. So I think generally speaking, the other thing I would add to that equation that you're describing there is persistence, right? So the consistency plus persistence, those two together, and you can accomplish anything you want to in life.
Yeah, and then currently we're sitting at give or take 18,000 Bitcoin, right? And you have to realize that I'm just going to share my screen here real quick. So this is just the total life of Bitcoin, right? So I'm going to go back here. So this is 2017, right around here. So the peak was about 19,497. That's December 16th, 2017. And for 3 years, people were frothing at the mouth, like, "Dear God, can we please get back to 19,000? Please get back to 19,000?" And then finally, I think it was on the 19th, was it? Yeah, the 19th, it hit 23K. And it broke the all-time high, maybe a little bit. Yeah, but I can't get it. I can't get it precisely, but about 19.
It was right at the end of 2020.
Yeah, no, like, according to this, I can't just I can't get over the 18th, so I just think
19th ish. Yeah,
19th was 23,869. So we smashed the all-time high, and then we kept on ripping up. We ripped all the way up to almost 40K coming in the new year, and then guess what? It crashed back down. It crashed down to about 32,000. And then we ripped up all the way until basically what was it, end of March? Yeah,
it was 64K. Yeah, it was April 14th ish, and it was about 64K.
Yep, April 14th, 63,164 basically. It was 63,109 according to CoinMarketCap. So now here we are here, right? We're going back down. It is what it is, and that's just where we are. I mean, the purpose of today's show, though, is going to show you guys exactly how the sentiment for crypto in general has changed. Night Owl here says, is BTC losing its value because people are realizing you can't do anything with it? ETH the new king. No, Nidal, no offense. People like you can't do anything with it. But people with some mega bucks, believe me, there's a lot to be done. And there are like super Bitcoin maxis out there that only live off of Bitcoin. They take their salary in Bitcoin, they save their money in Bitcoin. Because if you're betting against Bitcoin, you're betting against the internet. And
you're betting against Ethereum too, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I really don't see anything coming dethroning either of these two anytime soon, unless, like, we saw the World Economic Forum recently adopting Ripple as their official currency. But if you know anything about Ripple token, the majority of the token, first of all, the token has no use case. It's literally it's just like digital money. It's fiat, really. And the majority of the banks have the majority of the coins in their reservoir. And I just don't see any solid use case for it unless they just pump all that fake banker money into it. But then again, you can't. The thing is, it's so hard to control, right? They can't even stop piracy. They can't even stop people from smoking marijuana. They can't even stop people from getting fentanyl into the United States. One of the craziest drugs ever made, like synthetic heroin, basically. I don't think
Russia the other day admitted that. They said, we can't stop cryptocurrency going across borders, so we're going to start dealing with it.
Yep. China's really lost some major face recently by talking all that shit when Nancy Pelosi was going to go to Taiwan and they did nothing, So they're holding a big fat L, and they're draconian. Like a lot of people are like, oh, the social credit score. Listen, the social credit score is only used in a very, very small part of China. It's not used in like main areas, and the elites, people have been always trying to enslave the middle class, the lower class, and I don't know, man. There's too many of us.
Yeah, well, and then going back to Klaus Schwab's book, why do you think they're doing what they're doing? They think the same thing.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
Yep. In the book, he says there's too many people.
I've just downloaded it. I haven't started reading it yet, but when you hear a lot of stuff coming from the World Economic Forum and the like, yes, they do.
Yep, there you go. Protein Fuel says Ripple Maxi paying for their own tyranny. So what we'll do, we're just gonna have a brief full show today. We'll get back in the swing of things here in the Tokyo Crypto Show. Charlie, when was the last time we did a show? July?
Yeah, it was the Dutch Farmers episode. So that's right on brand. And
what episode to go out on?
That must have been in the early to mid July.
Well, it's great to have you guys. It's great to be back, Charlie. We didn't even coordinate our black shirts. We just showed up. We're both wearing black, so we're all dialed in here. What we're gonna do, Charlie is going to go over some charts with Bitcoin and Ethereum. We recently had the Ethereum merge. Obviously, if you've been watching on Charlie's channel, the Ethereum merge is live. That's great to know because
basically the train to go to the merge is live.
Right.
So basically,
the
train's left the station.
Yeah,
but the merge will be officially live between the 10th and 20th. So probably around, Vitalik said 13th to 15th, like official.
Right. What I was saying was like the update was a precursor to whether it was going to be happening or not. And you guys know in crypto, there's always delays. There's always friggin', we got this designer, this developer did this is happening here. So yeah, but it is going to be going live. Sorry, the update is live, but the actual merge is going to be going down. Watching closely on the Ethereum price to see what's going on. But in the meantime, like I said, let's take a look at the chart for Bitcoin, and then we'll also take a look at the charts of Ethereum. And like I said, it's just about enduring. It's about paying attention to the markets and continue to get better. You think me and Charlie are just like, no, we already know everything. We're not going to study. Charlie's not going to study any more trading books. I'm not going to get better at anything else. Like, we're just going to totally give up and just, we think we know enough. And it's just not.
You should always be learning. So there's a couple of things you just made me think of, but one of the things was, one of the best things that I heard, during the last bear market, in 2018 was experienced traders, shout out Bob Lucas with the 60-day cycles. It's a damn good way to analyze the market, and which is why we do it here as well. And one of the things that he said basically in 2018, and among many other traders that I found that, had traded the markets for 20 plus years, they said, you should always be learning, right? You're never, the markets, they're never, static. They're always changing. There's something always to learn, and you have to stay on top of your game. And so the kind of progression that most people go through, right, is the first 6 months to a year, they know nothing, right? Then the next probably 1 to 2 years, depending on the person, they think they are gods. They know everything, right? It's like a kid, who thinks they know everything, more than their parents. And then, after year 5, if they're still around and if they've been paying attention and they, have taken their licks, they should know that basically they, again, know nothing, right? And if you kind of come at the market with that idea of I know nothing, and you're always looking at it fresh, you can continue to learn, can continue to build up those things basically. But hey, most people don't have, like you said, the consistency or persistence to do that. And so it is a hard game to play, and it is a game of attrition. But yeah, taking a look at Bitcoin here, yeah, things are getting interesting. Why? Because we're basically right around this key area that if you look at the body of this candle, when Bitcoin hit its local low here back on June 18th, Bitcoin's trying to hold up that area. But you can see if I just change this to a line chart, you can see the low here, right, in terms of daily close, right, was about 18,956, right? And we're below that right now, but yesterday's close, the last candle close, was 18,789, right? So that was about almost $200 lower. So to me, that signals we're still continuing this downtrend. And if we turn this back to a candle chart, right, that support area is getting pretty thin right now. I could see Bitcoin bouncing up here for a bit, but to me, that drop that we got yesterday after that sideways action for a whole week pretty much solidifies that the cycle high is in here. Now, there's some people who've messaged me and said, like, hey, like, how come your count is slightly different than Bob Lucas's, or actually quite significantly different? The reason is because with the cycles, essentially, what's the best way to describe this? What often happens with the cycles is when you're counting from low to low, sometimes you can choose a time-based low, or you can choose a proper cycle low. For me, I'm choosing the actual lows here, both on the wicks as well as the daily closes, whereas Bob, for this last cycle, or basically he decided to go with essentially the time-based lows. And so that's personal preference. And then the cool thing about the cycles is they will tell you within the next cycle which version is the most correct, and usually you'll get back on track. So the cycle will force you to get back on track by just showing you the data, even if you have a wrong count. So I'm just showing the count that I think is the most probable and correct, and we'll see here throughout the next about 60 to 90 days what's the most correct, or what's the best way to look at it. So yeah, if you are learning from other people, at some point, and I took, the 60-day Lucas cycles or Bitcoin cycles from Bob Lucas, and I sent him an email and I said, hey, is it okay if I post these online as well? Because there's nobody else doing it. And I think what you do is amazing and very, very good. And he basically said yes. And this was all the way back in 2019. So, I really, really appreciated that. But if you can't, have a slightly different opinion or view of the market than some of the people that you basically have gained information from, then you're not learning, you're just copying, right? So you should have your own opinion. And this is why we say DYOR, do your own research, right? So anyways, looking at the low here, right? We had the cycle high so far on day 4, and right now we're on day 18, and we're flirting already with the lows here, which is not great in terms of timing, right? Why? Because we have significant negative events coming up here in the next couple of weeks. I would say we also have some positives in crypto. Not, don't get it wrong. We do have the positivity of the merge that's mainly going to affect Ethereum, not really Bitcoin, because we saw Bitcoin didn't have that effect yesterday, which Ethereum did. So I do think part of this drop here is, people basically ramping into Ethereum. And then also, we have the Fed meeting as well as the CPI numbers. So the CPI numbers, interest rate increase or decrease, or not, sorry, not interest rate, inflation rate increase or decrease. Knowledge will be made public on the 13th. So that should be an interesting one. And then on the 20th and 21st, we have the interest rate hike time from the Fed. And so as Jerome Powell said, there will be more pain. Kind of the way that I'm looking at October, and this is for all crypto, right? I'm kind of naming October, there will be blood, right? So that's a good thing, because right when there's max fear and there's capitulation and there's blood in the streets, it's time to buy. So, or at least dollar cost average, right? And so here on day 18, right, I do suspect we'll probably try to defend this area for a bit, but I think we have negativity in the price overall for crypto, at least, I would say up to a little bit around the October 19th, because not every 60-day cycle is exactly 60 days, right? So this one here, because the capitulation was so extreme, was a very, very short cycle. It's abnormal for it to be shorter than 40 days, which is also one of the reasons why Bob Lucas wanted to go towards, I think, the time-based low. But anyways, here, right, I chose this because that capitulation events, they do tend to, if you go back and you actually do a back test of all the data on Bitcoin and its cycles over time, you'll notice this is actually abnormal generally, but it's normal for capitulation phases. And so if we do see this again in this cycle, if we did get a lower low and maybe the proper low for Bitcoin, it's possible. The two scenarios that I'm looking for potential low is between basically this mid-October region to potentially mid-December, depending on how we act here in the next 60 days. But we could also get a shorter cycle, right? We could get something like in the early part of October, right? Generally speaking, most cycles from low to low will last about 50 days. The average is 60 days, which is why we go with 60-day cycles. But when you have an extreme left translated cycle, sometimes the end of the cycle actually comes sooner. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got it in early, like the first week or two of October. That's very possible. But let's just kind of keep it with the proper average of 60 days. And say around October 19th, you should be very, very aware of what's happening here. And then, if we did get an extended cycle low, that's possible, but I don't think that's the most probable. And if that did happen, that would happen more than likely before Halloween. So October is a month to pay attention very, very closely to the markets, and we'll kind of, you have to have your strong convictions held loosely, right? Which just means we have this extreme cycle that could go down to, $15,000, $16,000 for Bitcoin, which that's so nice, right? For if you're buying in the market. And then also for Ethereum, I'll talk about how that will look different here a little bit, but we could see $700 Ethereum in October. And for the people who are not in position basically to buy more in the market, and that's not because they lack a certain job or anything. That just means basically they haven't been paying attention enough and haven't been working persistently and consistently enough to really grab that dry powder. So if you're one of those people, I would highly suggest, finding ways to do that in the next 1 month or maybe even the next 4 or 5 months, because there's going to be plenty of time, right, to dollar cost average in. We're not going back up to all-time highs tomorrow, even if we did hit the absolute low of a bear market tomorrow, which is obviously not going to be the case. So, you can really learn a lot within crypto in 3 to 6 months. So if you do watch our channel, get into one of our crypto mindset courses, get into the Citadel chat, whatever it is, that is the best way for you to learn, maybe all of them. Then, if you're dedicated to it, you will find success within that period of time, or at least the beginnings of success. I mean, for us, in the early days, it took me maybe to feel like I was comfortable in crypto. It took me about 9 months to feel like relatively comfortable. Still gets a lot of surprises, of course, but that's what I recommend is, dedicate, like a year to it, and you should be way beyond everybody else. So anyways, there will be blood in October. pay attention, make sure you have your dry powder there. So for Ethereum, that also means we have downside action. But the difference here for Ethereum is basically, this was interesting. Yesterday, Ethereum came close to trying to hit a new cycle high. Here, Ethereum had a cycle high at 1722. Yesterday, it had it at 1687, right? And so it tried to basically escape Bitcoin's gravity and form a new cycle high. And if Ethereum had a slightly different cycle than Bitcoin, which is abnormal, that would have, shaked things up, I think. But Ethereum has stayed to a very similar cycle to Bitcoin and is starting to come down here as well. I suspect Ethereum actually holds a bit better than Bitcoin. Maybe it stays between this 50 and 100 moving average for a bit, maybe like one more week from now, and then starts basically breaking down and dead cat bouncing on these trend lines. But Ethereum should have the same timing as Bitcoin in terms of the cycle. And again, it can be shorter, like I mentioned, maybe like October 11th, or even if you go to day 50, October 9th. So maybe the 9th of October to about the 19th. That would be what I would, that would be my main timing window of what to be, of when to be looking hard at Bitcoin and Ethereum. And remember, when we did hit this low here, right? We hit it, it was a wick down, we popped up, we held, and then we came up right after that. And then we came down and kind of tried to test that, but a little higher low, and then we made a bit of a move to the upside. So once that starts happening, people start getting a little FOMO because they're like, oh shit, did I miss it? Right? Because they weren't paying attention, or they didn't have enough of analysis done on their own side that they had the courage of their conviction to buy at those prices. So yeah, those are the things that you need to succeed here in crypto. Then the other interesting thing that we looked at yesterday, this changed dramatically, was we have broken below this trend line here for Bitcoin dominance, and we're right at the bottom of this support box. We do have a cluster here of pretty good like price action here. I guess you could call it on the percentage of Bitcoin dominance. But why is this important? Because if we do break below this box and test this area down here, right, that essentially just means the altcoins, they're holding up better compared to Bitcoin than they have in the past. And this is unusual. A bit. So I would say, Bitcoin dominance going down is generally good for all of crypto because it does essentially diversify the space. I know 99% of cryptocurrencies will not succeed, but the ones who do, right, gives them a chance essentially. So like Ethereum had when it came up. So yeah, this will be interesting to watch. Do keep an eye peeled on Bitcoin dominance. As if it does pop up kind of like it did here, right? Maybe it's a fake out a little bit below the trend line and then boom, pops right back up there. That's possible. And I would say that would be one potential sign that we're close to a low as well. If Bitcoin basically takes back some dominance, then essentially there's bigger money coming into the market. And where does the bigger money, the institutional money, start going into first? It's Bitcoin. They're going to get into Ethereum as well.
Accepted the truth.
Yes, you have. And so, they'll put money into Ethereum as well, but, it's not going to be all the large institutions. So, yeah, that's just something to look at there. So those are the charts just in terms of the current price action. One thing I've been saying to people on my channel, since we're streaming on your channel, it's probably a good thing to mention. If you guys want to, potentially take a look at a very good low risk area to buy, the Peel multiple is a great one to look at. You can go over to lookintobitcoin.com and take a look at the Peel multiple. Very good data out there. And yeah, we're coming back into that green box, but you can see here during every substantial or macro low here for Bitcoin. We had one here at the end of 2018, December, right? We hit that bottom dotted line here. Basically, we hit the same lows we hit back here in November and October of 2011. We did that in 2015. We didn't quite get there during the Corona crash, and we didn't quite get there last summer either. And we haven't gotten there quite recently in June. So since we haven't gotten to that area, it doesn't mean this multiple has to go down to that area. But it seems, we have 3 data points. So if we get a 4th one, I wouldn't be surprised. And if you're watching this and it hits it, it won't hit it in real time on this website, possibly. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. So maybe there's another way you can look at it, like on Glassnode or you can calculate this self. Here's the equation. But anyways, when you do see it hit down there, right, that's a time to back up the truck, definitely, and take a stab at it. this is only in Bitcoin terms and within cryptocurrency. Now, when you do take a look at the traditional market, right, you want to keep an eye on the S&P 500 as well as the NASDAQ 100. And you can take a look at other things as well. But if we just take a quick look at the S&P, because Bitcoin right now is still highly correlated with the stock market, right? It shifts from being highly correlated to somewhat correlated, right? Often. But if we take this to the weekly chart, we can see here, essentially, the price has come down here recently. And we pull up the Bollinger Bands. We are below that 20-week moving average. 20-week moving average is perfectly right there at 4,008 or 4,009. So if the S&P 500 were to try to get a weekly close above that region, it would need to do it in the next 2.5 days. So by Friday close. And if it can manage to close a weekly candle above that 20-week moving average, which will come down over time, right? It will come down as soon as the next week candle gets printed on Monday. Once the next week's candle starts on Monday. So if you keep watching that area, right, if the S&P can get above there, then that could give a temporary support or bounce to a lot of different things in different markets, including Bitcoin. So this is just something as well to keep an eye on. When we get into a bull market, it's not quite as important, but it is important at critical points like bottoms, and it can bring down things like we saw at the end of last year as well. So just something to keep an eye on in addition to Bitcoin. So yeah, any questions or anything you wanted to say on that as well?
No, we just got a crypto emergency on my side over here. Can you hear that?
No, I couldn't hear that. I heard the Darth Vader.
Okay, no, yeah, there's a huge siren going on behind me right now.
Oh, gotcha.
Looking good. I'll say this, 2018 was the year of blood in the bear market, I would say, right? Because 2019 that we rallied up in the summer.
Right.
Yeah,
we if you go and watch, you should definitely go watch the Tokyo Crypto Show from summer of 2019. That was glorious. We were on the moon. It was amazing.
That being said, right? What do you say? A lot of people are saying 2023 is going to be max pain.
So I would say for real estate, it is, right? But the one thing that you do have to remember, I would say is I think geopolitically, globally, all the stuff with war going on, the war drums are getting louder and louder and louder. And the only reason why right now they're not getting louder faster is because of elections in different countries happening at the end of this year. So, they want to get reelected first before they screw it all up again.
Including ours.
Exactly. So
with the midterms in November. Yeah. I mean, that's just right around the corner.
Yep, exactly. And there's, by all means, we could get a low going into next year. I'm not saying we have to get a low within this year, but I just think it's probable that higher risk assets like tech stocks and Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is kind of getting treated like that from the institutions that have been getting into crypto since 2019. Those ones, they are the first to get sold off because they are the most liquid. But when there's as much inflation on different currencies around the world as what's happening now, people are kind of forced into higher risk assets because, if you're a hedge fund, for example, you can't sit on your ass and not invest in anything for an entire year and lose, up to 20% of your, value or in terms of purchasing power, just through inflation, right? Maybe your customers, because if they're looking at the dollar, might not care, but usually, obviously, if you can invest in a hedge fund, you're going to be relatively more savvy than the average investor. So, just generally speaking, they have to deploy funds at some point. And Berkshire Hathaway and Warren Buffett have already been deploying dollar cost average strategies into the stock market since, as far as I've heard, around June or so, which was interesting. That's where we did get this big low. They're not necessarily getting into Bitcoin, but the stock market, like I said, does affect it. So anyways, if there's an influx in capital in Q4, I wouldn't be surprised. But it could also happen in Q1. So, the black swan type events that we could see from China invading Taiwan or
I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't.
I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying
I'm not saying you are either. I'm just throwing my hat in the
sure
I'm just,
in the ring.
in the ring, just saying, "Hey, I just don't think it's going to happen."
Well, I think the Vikings are going to win the Super Bowl too. It doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday on my show. Do you know that? There are delusions about the Vikings going to the Super Bowl.
Hey, one day. But hey, this year, if I was going to say my realistic prediction for the Vikings, we make the playoffs. Maybe we
7-9. That's what's going to happen, Charlie. 7-9.
No, bro. No. Don't tell me 10 wins minimum. But anyways, all these people out here think the Detroit Lions are something after Hard Knocks. Please. Lions haven't been number 2 in the division since God knows when, the 90s. But anywho, just in a further expansion of aggression in Europe is something as well that could do those types of black swan events. So even if we do get a low within, let's say, the next 4 months or 5 months, we could get like a double low. I mean, look at the Corona crash, right? If we just zoomed out here on the chart, took off some of our drawings, and
I wonder if America is going to lift these sanctions on Russia anytime.
I have no idea. I guess we'll see.
I mean, that's indirectly screwing Germany.
Yep. Probably stay there for a while. But this black swan event here going down. I mean, it didn't go to a new low, but it got damn close, right? So just a place to be watching. But then here on Bitcoin, the 200-week moving average rate was held here. We weren't too far underneath here. This time is slightly different, right? We're under that 200-week moving average a lot longer than we have been in the past. And to me, that is because of the geopolitical events globally, or all that stuff happening, in different countries. So basically, Bitcoin here is a little bit like, a balloon or a beach ball being held underwater. Eventually it's basically undervalued, in my opinion, compared to where it's going long term. Institutions and governments and corporations and individuals who are paying attention, they understand this. And so at some point it will pop back up here. Just keeping a watchful eye for that, and then understanding what opportunities there are in the meantime is the way to play the game, in my opinion.
Well, bear markets are for building. Bear markets are for building. You should be studying. I mean, I'm personally studying and getting better. I know Charlie is, and everybody here should. Bear market is where you build your nest egg, where you're digging your hole in the ground, you're planting your seed, and then the bull market is where you pull it out. So that's what we're doing here. Buckle down. Look, the world, even if you watch the movies from like the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, the news has always been bad news. Even in the movies, like, oh, the stock market is coming to crash, and we're going to like the Cold War with the Russians, and then the Cuban, like the Cuban Missile Crisis, and HIV scare of the 80s, and the world's always coming to an end. The world's always we're all gonna die. Like, that's just their hustle. You got to understand this. Turn it off. Do what needs to be done. There are people who've made fortunes in bear markets. There's people who've made fortunes in bull markets. Again, it's all about being consistent. How about we pop out and take a look at look into Ethereum next, Charlie?
Yeah. So I mean, we did take a look at its price. I have to try to remember. Can't remember off the top of my head. I was going to pull up some on-chain data for Ethereum, but I can't remember.
My biggest thing is this: do you think that there's going to be any large fluctuations in the price now that the merge is absolutely going to happen?
I think we've already seen it. On Moon Gang on Sunday, basically we said, buy the rumor, sell the news. This is the news. And so, I think we're already starting to see some sell-off. I think we just see some chop here. Like I said, between the 100 and 50-day moving averages here, I think we see some chop between there for a bit. But the like we said, the momentum and the strength of the market right now is to the downside. So getting, whenever we do break a daily close, like anywhere between 1 to 4 days of closes underneath this 100-day moving average, right? Then we come back down to that trend line, and from there we can see if it holds or not. But it does look like, Ethereum, right? When Bitcoin was down here, or when Ethereum and Bitcoin were down here at their lows in June, right, on the 18th, Ethereum, right, was holding up a little bit, but it came down to what, $880, right? And just, right now it's way far away from that in terms of percentage wise. It is from its low, right, earlier this year. It is 42.66% away from that, roughly speaking. On Bitcoin, how far is Bitcoin away from that price in June? right? About 7%, 6%, 6.9%, right? So roughly speaking, Ethereum is holding up tons better than Bitcoin, right? If we take a look at Ethereum to Bitcoin's chart, we can see that. So that is what the merge basically has been doing for Ethereum, and you can see the accumulation, by basically how much it didn't dump compared to Bitcoin, right? That move downside was basically showed that people accumulated during this period of time and they held, right? Because it did go up better than Bitcoin as well, percentage wise. So that's the difference right there. And so if Bitcoin comes down to a new low here, let's say 15, 16K, of course, it's going to pull down Ethereum with it within its gravity. But Ethereum here has a lot more support underneath it. So it will be interesting to see, if, once we get a new low for Bitcoin, where Ethereum is going to be. And if this would be wild, I don't think it's going to happen. I do think Ethereum will hit a new low, but it would be wild at the end of the 60-day cycle if Bitcoin, right, is significantly down to like 15, 16K and Ethereum is still around the region it was back in June. If that happens, man, that just shows you that essentially Ethereum, has the psychology of the market looking at it as the better option right now, and will continue to once, all the updates for the merge have been deployed over time.
What do you think, Charlie? Do you think Bitcoin's going to remain one into the next bull market?
For a while, yes, but I think at some point we will have a very good chance at the flippening.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and will it be Ethereum?
Yes, if there's going to be a flippening, it's going to be Ethereum. And so if we go and take a look at CoinMarketCap, just as one of the many websites that have market cap, here, $360 million, $360 billion, of market cap for Bitcoin, and 188 billion for Ethereum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not too far off, right?
No, halfway.
And the other one to watch here is Tether and USDC, not against Bitcoin, Ethereum, but against each other, right? So seeing if they, if USDC has been gaining on Tether, if there's a flippening of the stable coins as well, that will be a huge shift because Tether has been the biggest stable coin in crypto as long as we have had stable coins, right? So
Tether was made what, 2016, 2017?
I think 2017. But and the governments, right, they don't like that. Why? Because they're not the ones in control of it. Versus USDC, they do have a hand in that one. And so for me, in my opinion, that's why it's been gaining. There's other reasons as well as and they've been trying to shoot and FUD the credibility of Tether for the longest time in order for that kind of situation to be possible. And the other thing you can look at here is what's happening with Mt. Gox this month, right?
Oh, are these poor bastards going to get their money?
They're going to start to, yes.
Oh, man.
So, it's if you've been waiting for your money for 8 years, Jesus, that's a long time. But it's a forced hodl to some extent, right? So, they basically announced they're going to be able to send money back to those people who basically had their stuff lost in the hack.
Is it like lottery payments or what is it?
No, basically you had to go to their website and basically fill out your application and your information. They had to confirm who you are and that you needed were part of the trustees and part of the people who basically got all their stuff hacked. And then you choose if you want to receive, basically currency like fiat currency, or if you want to receive Bitcoin. And then
what would you take, Charlie?
If it depends on when I would get it. So if it's going to take a really long time to get it, right? Because for whatever reason, they're putting kind of dripping it out. Then I would choose Bitcoin simply because I think, within the next year we do have the lows. So but if I was going to get it like immediately, like right now, I would be choosing dollars so that I can buy the dip, so
smart.
And if you're going to, if some of these guys are going to do that, right, that could, basically be a headwind for Bitcoin specifically. And then that will be a headwind for the rest of crypto too. But that could, like you said,
you have accepted the truth.
Sorry, people subbing them. That
No,
sound was off.
I'm just pausing it because I like it. But anyways, I think Ethereum, right, because it has a chance to outpace Bitcoin significantly during the next run, like it did in the last one and the one before that, then, you know, this one can, because it is holding up, does give more confidence to the altcoins, which is why we see Bitcoin dominance decreasing and why we have opportunities here in this bear market. And it's not a ghost town compared to the last bear market in 2018. It was a ghost town, tumbleweeds everywhere, and not a mouse to be heard, right? So, you know, that's really good for crypto because that's part of showing that crypto is here to stay and it's not going away. There's always going to be people speculating on it, no matter what type of market we're in.
Yeah.
You know, and the last thing I wanted to mention here, just about data. Maybe I have to refresh this page here.
It's going to zero. I tell you what, Charlie, if Bitcoin goes to 11,000, I don't know. I'm gonna have to get a hex tattoo or something.
They'll take. I think they're gonna clip that and then hold you to it. So,
oh, they're clipping it right now. They're clipping it. They're setting it to their Discord. MLD said he's gonna get a tattoo. Let's pump the markets down. Go, go, go.
Yep. So, but yeah, you can see this capitulation event back in June, right? So we haven't seen anything yet there, right? In terms of the blood, this is net realized profit loss. So this, when you see the red on this chart, basically that means how much money people are selling at a loss compared to their entry point or their average entry points. You can see here, in terms of dollars, I can't get it. Like, I think I'd have to zoom in on this. It was $2.2 billion of realized losses on the day of the June 18th low, which is a lot. And you know, when you take a look at not all of its history, but the most recent history,
June 18th low of this year.
Yes, that was the lowest price we've had in this year for Bitcoin. Right, and if you take a look here, because more money comes into this market over time, right, it's obviously going to be the most realized losses that we've ever seen of a capitulation event, because as Bitcoin, right, gains price over time, right, the dollars getting more and more worth less, then essentially, you know, it does distort the way it looks compared to other times in Bitcoin's history. But yeah, I would expect, you know, this type of capitulation event, Plan C talked about this on Moon Gang on Sunday, is extremely rare. We haven't had this much, you know, for a very long time when we, you know, compare them fairly to each other. So
that can't be retail, can it?
It's everybody. So it's just the on-chain data, the data from, you know, that we see from people actually moving, buying and selling and stuff like this. And so yeah, we'll see, you know, maybe we get a capitulation event that's only, you know, maybe something like this, you know, 1 point something billion, right? Like we saw back here. We might not get as a worse capitulation event, but if we do, right, this is one of the charts to definitely be looking at. And then maybe we'll take a look at the SOPR as well. Spent output profit ratio. This is also trying to look at kind of like how people are looking at Bitcoin. And what we generally see here is during, you know, real bear times, if we zoom out on the all-time history, right, it fluctuates around its one level a lot more. You could try to change the smooth moving average to try to make it a little cleaner, but essentially during bear times, it stays under that one area more than it doesn't. Right? During bull times, it goes above there more than it doesn't, and sometimes uses that area as kind of like a support area in a very good move. We saw that here during 2021 as well. And so, yeah, this move to the downside here was one of the more extreme ones we've seen. The last two that we saw that were this extreme were in the Corona crash and in the bottom of 2018. But we did get to the same levels. If you just kind of look at the horizontal line there that I'm putting at the bottom of the one we had on the 18th, it comes over here to the same lows that we saw in 2015. And you did see we hit a low here before the absolute low on this metric. And then it came up. And then once it regained that one area solidly and used it as support, then we got a bull market, right? We kind of saw something similar here, right? Except for the low on this did actually occur on the same timeline as the actual low. So this is not an absolute, right? This one changes a little bit more. There's not as much of a consistent pattern on this one compared to the others, but it is worth looking at as well if you're trying to look at capitulation and trying to look at lows. So,
The point we're trying to make here too is that it just seems to me that the landscape has permanently changed. I've been involved in the cryptocurrency space since Q4 2016, and I'm telling you, in 2018, it was a ghost town. There was nobody talking about crypto. Nobody. 2019,
a lot of crypto channels turning off, man. Like I was just like, you rugged us. What the hell? You know, like
Doug Polk crypto. I'll never forget that. He's a real weirdo. But yeah, Doug Polk crypto trapped out, and now we have like, you know, Chico crypto having a full-blown mental breakdown, probably from all the psychedelics he uses too.
Yeah, poor guy. I mean, he gives good information. I like Chico.
I mean, I think so too, but the whole like, you know, I need to take a break because of my mental health. That's kind of like a hustle out there in Cali.
Yeah, it's just something that like it's not great.
No, it's just not a good look for your consistency as a creator. Yeah. And we were talking about consistency here, right? And you know, 2019, it was not hip to talk about crypto, and that's why we started the Tokyo Crypto Show. That was the plan. Me and Charlie, we were just two dudes in a corporate office, and we're like, I'm pretty sure we can pull this off. Like, we're pretty smart. We both know crypto pretty well. And we knew it was the future. We were ahead of the bandwagon. And, you know, we knew starting in the lowest time was 2018. We didn't start in 2018, but we started pretty low in 2019. And then we just knew that this is going to give us the most authority, because when we knew the bull market was coming around, we were thinking like, you know, if we just pop up during the bull market, people are going to think we're like grifters. They're going to think we're here for a cash grab. So let's just start it now.
I remember that conversation.
Yeah. I said, let's build up the trust. Let's build up the consistency. Let's do our best. And here we are. So Charlie and I both have 2 bull runs under our belt. But the thing is, for me and Charlie, I know for you guys at home, it probably feels like a pretty intense bear run. But for me and Charlie, it doesn't feel like too much of a bear run.
Yeah, like I'm sorry. I agree with you a lot on that one.
Yeah, it does. Like I'm kind of like, you know, I'm starting to feel like an old man, but I'm just like, man, this is really not feeling too much like a bear run at all. This is like, and a couple things too. Like the biggest thing is this, right? Obviously, I'm in the marketing side of things, and this man has a great marketing company, and that's Alex Becker. Right. And if you take a look at his channel, he used to talk about, you know, self-improvement, fitness, you know, biology hacks, all that stuff. And now it's just nothing but crypto nonstop, even during the bear market. Do I think he's spot on? I don't know. I think he's extremely clickbaity, to be honest with you. Like my giant crypto investment, 42 million back. Like, you know, dude's free money.
The game well.
Yeah, these 7 cryptos will 50x. I'm investing millions. You know, like, come on. Like, first of all, if you ever read the book Psychology of Money, nobody knows what's going to happen.
Yep.
So if you meet somebody who says they know what's going to happen, they don't know what's going to happen. 15 coins that will 15x in May. You know, but the fact is, he's going hard on the grift.
Yeah, because talking about probabilities of things is not sexy, right? It's not clickbaity. I get that.
Right. But this is like, if you want to talk about grift, this is grift. Like, this is clear grift. And because everything's optimistic, everything's 50x, everything's, you know, expecting $110 million back, you know. So,
well, you know what also gives me you know, vibes that we're getting close to lows is M. Garcia's back in the chat. He was back with us, you know, early days of Tokyo Crypto Show, and it's good to see him out here, you know, because he's one of those juicy dip buyers. So yeah, it is interesting actually. You know, I have noticed there are certain people and personalities from our audience who come and go.
Look at this thumbnail. It's not even, it says anyone is not even properly titled. Like it says any yo. You know? It's like, come on, dude, you got 1.3 million followers. Like, you know, run a quick
Yeah.
spell check.
It is what it is. Yeah.
But like I said, there are crypto influencers popping up right now. Like, remember Crypto Jeb?
Oh yeah, he's still around.
Yeah, no, I know he's doing his thing. And so ultimately, I just do not think that the sentiment. I mean, is it lower from the bull market? Yes, absolutely. Right.
Well, and because of what's happening globally with money.
Yeah, that too. Right. Um, so looking at this whole market from a macro perspective, one, it's absolutely grown. Two, I mean, just looking at our audience here, right? Our audience is consistently showing up and consistently doing, work on your channel. They're still in the crypto mindset. They're in the Citadel. We got some big things coming up. We have a new thing we're launching here soon with Charlie as well. We're gonna debut that probably within the next 48 hours.
Yeah, and I would say around Moon Gang time, or a little bit earlier or a little bit later. Also pay attention to pinned messages for people who understand what that means in the crypto mindset course. There'll be a few of them, so that's there's going to be an announcement on the announcement of that, because there's some stuff that you can't say right now that it will be important, and we'll make sure that the core of the Moon Gang, the people who are still paying attention, get a chance at. So I'll mention that more of that in the pinned messages during that time. So just pay attention to that as well, so because this is related to this service.
Yep. So we're, we, like I said, the overall sentiment, if you're, because I know some of you guys may be feeling in despair and stuff, and I don't think, like, Charlie, your streams aren't hitting like 500 anymore, right?
Nope.
Right. So, Charlie's streams are maxing out 500, 600, 700 sometimes.
Live,
live streams, So analytics are down on Charlie's end, numbers are down, my subs are up. I'm doing we're about to crack it out on Charlie's side too. We're both building on this side. You're gonna see some big changes on Charlie's channel. We're coming out with a new product that's going to be debuted within 48 hours. And we got a lot of good things cooking. So we're here, man. We're not going anywhere. And that's how you win in this market. Again, we always say it. And in the bear market, in the bull market, it's always the same. Time in the market beats timing the market. If you're going to be this guy, you lost a couple grand or you made a couple grand in the bull run, and you're like, okay, that's it. I'm going to go to Mexico. I'm going to forget my victories. I'm going to forget my losses, whatever. Mate, you're going to lose in the long run. You got to stay in. And there's so much opportunity in crypto. There's like people making millions and millions of dollars on meme coins, man. Think about it. When you guys are sticking with us right now and the next bull run comes around, you're going to have so much knowledge. You're going to be so ready. You're going to be so prepared, and you can clean up. They say the first bull run, you learn. The second bull run, you get rich. And the third bull run, you get wealthy. So what bull run are you in at home, right? Pay attention, because this is not going away anytime soon. I mean, I went to Turkey, right? I was in Istanbul recently. Obviously, I got my hair fixed and stuff all there.
Yeah,
and thanks, man. And for you guys at home, in Istanbul International Airport, there are advertisements everywhere for Turkish Bitcoin YouTubers. The buses in Turkey are covered in Turkish Bitcoin advertisements. Like, I didn't even go there for research. I wasn't even looking for this, but it was so pervasive. It was like, whoa, wait a minute. It's everywhere.
And the lira is not doing hot at all.
No. I mean, what currency is doing hot?
Yeah. Well, I mean, but that's part of the reason, right?
Yeah. So the thing is, I think that with Bitcoin's prevalence, it's going to continue to spread. When I was in Korea too, I was in Incheon, and Incheon International Airport, the largest airport in the world, there was crypto advertisements all over. There's crypto advertisements, all over the airport. Because the Koreans, the Asians in general, love their FX trading, and FX is very similar to cryptocurrency. So, I mean, I'm loving it. Life is good. We're gonna keep on keeping on, and yeah, that's pretty much what we wanted to say to you today. Um, can we look up the Turkish lira versus USD? It's bad. They're cranking out a lot right now, and the dollar is soaring. It's good if you're doing dollar arbitrage anywhere in the country. Like, I'm going to Colombia in about a month, and I'm gonna I booked like this super luxurious suite for like 5 days, like $600, man.
Nice.
$600, like a creme de la creme suite in Bogota, Colombia. The yen obviously is just falling. But I think they're playing chicken with the Japanese government because they want them to raise interest rates over here, and they're not doing it. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, that's interesting. And yeah, I don't know if you wanted to add anything onto that, but yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Turkish inflation up 89%. I'll tell you this: when I was over in Turkey, people were lively. People were walking in the streets, having a good time. People were out shopping, buying food. Like, I did not see like depression vibes anywhere, man. The Turkish are alive and kicking over there, man. People were out in restaurants. Rented a yacht. We went down the Bosphorus Strait. I saw the Asian side of Turkey. I saw the European side of Turkey. It was a live and bustling city, man. I didn't see anything looking like it was doom and gloom, apocalyptic times. So, again, if you watch the news consistently, you're going to get depressed. You're going to get anxiety. You're going to feel terrible. Don't believe it. Just study, do your own research and everything. Think for yourself. And, yeah, man, I think we're going to be good.
Last word I'll say on that is definitely, if you need some motivation or some inspiration to think differently, go and watch the Tokyo Crypto Show. It's on John's channel. When we were doing the Tokyo Crypto Show just on his channel, go over to John's channel and look up the John McAfee episode from May 27th of 20. I think it was 2020. 2020. Basically, look at that video because I really respect John McAfee for the stances that he did take at that time, but then also just in general, right? He's somebody who is sorely missed in the bull market for sure. So definitely take a look at that. And then the last one I wanted to talk about is just James Ray there. I've been waiting for this moment since 2021. I know the feeling. So, it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fun one. So yeah, he's ready for Pulse Chat as well.
If we're going to see some blood, I mean, the market's going to crash, look like, but I mean, the market's crashed before, and the further we go down, that just means we got a lot more way to go up.
Yep. Good times ahead.
All right, boys. Until then, Moon Gang, Hot Dude Army, we'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.